You know what's crazy? I spent years laughing at preppers. Those folks stockpiling beans and building bunkers thinking they were paranoid, maybe even a little crazy. But then the world hit pause, and suddenly, everything they warned us about came crashing down right in our laps. It's ironic how the people we mocked for overreacting were actually the ones who stayed calm, safe, and ready. Imagine realizing that the guy with the bug-out bag wasn't crazy after all, but the one who scoffed at him might just be the one left scrambling. Here's the paradox. We crave security, but we dismiss the very people who prepare for uncertainty. We want stability, but we mock those planning for chaos. What if the truth is the opposite of what we believed? What if prepping isn't about fear, but about wisdom? And what if the lockdown was just the opening act for a much bigger story one, where being ready isn't an option, but a necessity? Today, you'll discover why the preppers were right all along and how you can start shifting your mindset before the next crisis hits. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the real meaning of preparation, not as paranoia, but as power. Trust me, that knowledge could be the difference between panic and peace when everything else falls apart. Before everything fell apart. Prepping was a joke. Internet was flooded with memes mocking bunker people. With gas masks and freeze-dried lasagna, news anchors laughed during segments asking, "Why would anyone need 200 rolls of toilet paper?" You'd hear it all the time, "Command. That kind of stuff never happens here." Society was riding high on the illusion of stability. Supermarkets were always stocked. Amazon delivered in a day. And people genuinely believed that tomorrow would always look like today. We were living in what I call the comfort bubble, a place where convenience made us blind. Why question the system when everything seemed to work just fine? We trusted the grid, the supply chain, the grocery store, the government heaven, our phones more than our instincts. Preppers, they were just overreacting, right? Building food reserves, storing water, learning survival skills that all felt unnecessary, until the bubble popped, and suddenly everyone was scrambling, you see. There's a kind of arrogance that grows when comfort lasts too long. It whispers in your ear, you don't need to prepare. You're safe. Nothing bad will happen here. That arrogance is what kept people unprepared. That's why so many were caught off guard. And maybe, just maybe, that's the reason most ignored the quiet warnings, till the silence was replaced by sirens, empty shelves. And a terrifying realization, it started with a few headlines, barely noticeable, something happening overseas. Then, suddenly, airports were closing, cities were locking down, and the world was holding its breath. People went from posting memes to panic buying in a matter of days. Hand sanitizer became a black market item. Toilet paper? You'd think it was a rare mineral. Shelves were stripped clean. Families rushed to buy whatever was left, while others stood frozen, unsure what to do or where to start. In those first chaotic weeks, reality hit hard. People who had never thought about prepping were now searching online for how to purify water or bake bread without yeast. Parents were scared. Elderly folks were isolated. And those who used to laugh at preppers, they were now calling them for advice. It was like watching the curtain drop on a stage, play revealing that the actors were never ready for the real world behind the set. That's when the questions started creeping into people's minds. What if they were right all along? What if stocking up wasn't panic, but preparation? What if learning to be self-sufficient was never about fear, but about foresight? And just like that, the world began to shift. The word prepper started losing its stigma, started sounding more like survivor, but that was only the beginning, because while most were waking up, a few were already living it. While panic swept the world, the preppers were calm. They weren't running to the stores, they weren't fighting over canned beans or scouring the internet for toilet paper. They were home organized, steady, and ready. Food already stored, water filtered, generators fueled. While others were glued to the news, they were calmly checking their systems, updating checklists, following the plans they had rehearsed a dozen times before. And here's the wild part. They weren't afraid. Peace of mind wasn't something you could fake. It came from knowing they had control over what really mattered. While millions were stuck in fear and uncertainty, preppers were living proof that preparation breeds confidence. They weren't guessing, they weren't hoping, they were simply executing. Like a pilot in turbulence, they knew what buttons to push and when. That kind of clarity doesn't come from luck, it comes from intention. For the rest of the world, it felt like a crash landing. But for the preppers, it was just another test they'd already trained for. Their homes became sanctuaries, their routines became anchors, and what was once mocked now looked like wisdom. That realization began spreading fast. People started watching prepper videos, buying emergency gear, making lists. It was the moment the world realized, maybe being ready isn't weird. Maybe being ready is freedom. And what if that freedom could be yours too? At night, scrolling through empty grocery apps and listening to sirens in the distance when it all sank in. He wasn't prepared. Not even close. The fridge was half empty. The tap water felt like a gamble, and he realized he had placed blind trust in a system that was never built to withstand real chaos. That sinking feeling of helplessness. The kind that doesn't go away easily. It can light a fire that changes everything. It wasn't about fear anymore. It was about responsibility. It's about not being the one who panics when things break, but the one who provides calm, clarity, and a plan. That night, he made a decision. Never again. Never again would he be caught off guard. Never again would he rely 100% on systems that could fail without warning. So he started slow learning, researching, building up supplies, not out of fear, but out of purpose. What began as shame turned into resolve. The same guy who used to roll his eyes at preppers was now reading survival books, practicing fire starting and building a bug-out bag. The shift was instrumental, he realized. Prepping wasn't just gear, it was a mindset. And the deeper he went, the more he understood. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about reclaiming control. It's about standing ready. And that mindset? It started unlocking something bigger than just prepping. Prepping isn't madness. It's what a father does when he looks at his kids and thinks, no matter what happens, I'll keep you safe. It's what a mother does when she fills a shelf with supplies, not out of paranoia, but out of love. Prepping is not fear, it's foresight. Because when disaster strikes, fear is for those who waited too long. Responsibility is what you do. Before things fall apart, not after. We tend to think disasters are distant things that happen to other people in other places. But ask the families who lived through blackouts in Texas, the floods in Germany, or the food shortages. In Venezuela, if prepping is extreme, they'll tell you, no one expects the collapse until it hits. And when it does, there are only two types of people, those who planned ahead and those who regret not doing it. There's rarely a middle ground, so yeah, laugh at a prepper. Today, if you want. But remember, during the next supply chain crisis, political upheaval, or natural disaster, you'll wish you had a flashlight, a water filter, and a plan. You'll remember the guy with the bag, the woman with the garden, the neighbor who took it too seriously. And maybe, just maybe, you'll wish you had paid closer attention. But what if you didn't have to wait until it's too late to start? Now, let's be real. I'm not saying you need to move to a bunker in the woods or start raising chickens tomorrow. But having a plan, that's just common sense. You don't need to go full survivalist to make a difference. Start with the basics. Have a stash of clean water, shelf-stable food, and a reliable way to communicate if the grid goes down. That alone puts you ahead of 90% of people. Think of prepping like car insurance. You don't hope to crash your car, but you'd never drive without protection. Same thing here. You prep because you want peace of mind. And trust me, there's real power in knowing that if things go sideways even just a little, you're not frozen. You move, you act, you protect. It's not about being afraid of the world. It's about refusing to be a victim of it. If this is your first time hearing all of this, don't worry. In the next video, I'm breaking down exactly how to start your emergency survival kit with just 3 core items. No fluff, no overwhelm, just a simple plan to start stacking the odds in your favor. So get ready, because once you take that first step, everything else starts to fall into place. Here's a question for you. Did you laugh at preppers before the lockdown? Or were you quietly building your stash while everyone else doubted? Either way, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below and tell us, what was your prepper moment? Did you have a wake-up call, or have you been ready all along?
Sharing.
Your experience could be the nudge someone else needs to start preparing too. This community isn't about judgment. It's about learning, growing, and watching out for each other. We all start somewhere, and every step counts. So, don't be scared. Jump into the conversation. Your story might just save a life or change a perspective. And remember, preparation isn't a solo game. It's a team effort. We're in this together. Now, as you get ready for what's next, imagine yourself standing calm in the storm, confident, and in control. That's the kind of mindset we're building here. So stick around, hit that subscribe button, and let's face the future prepared. Because the next chapter is just getting started. Now it's your turn. What will you do? With this knowledge, will you wait for the next crisis to catch you off guard? Or will you start taking small steps today to protect yourself and those you love? Imagine how it feels to face uncertainty with confidence instead of fear. What if this moment right here is the turning point for your future safety? Think about it. What's one thing you can do today to start building your own preparedness plan? I want to challenge you. Share your thoughts below. Have you ever ignored a warning that later proved true? What's holding you back from preparing? Now, opening up in the comments could be the first step toward change, not just for you, but for everyone watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss the next video where we break down simple, effective ways to start your prepping journey. Remember, preparation isn't just about survival, it's about reclaiming control over your life. So, what are you waiting for? Let's get started.